What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyDropProjects.com, and this is the 16th episode of the Early Bird Artcast. We're making some headway here, and having a bunch of fun doing these artcasts. And today I have some new people on, and maybe more will pop in later too. This should be a fun time. Um, I'd like to introduce Mr. Doug Gerret. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And right at the top, where what would you like to shout out is the project you're working on and where people can find you?
Yeah, I'm working on a book called Lone Wolf. You can find it on Indiegogo right now. I'll post a link in the chat or somewhere. Um, but you can follow me on Twitter at DG310. That's where I post most of the updates and most of the links to my project.
Awesome. And we're gonna put these links in the description too as we go here, so you guys can click on that once I get them in. And we also have Aaron Calimeri, I think is how you pronounced it, right?
Yep. Yep.
How you doing, man? Where can people find you, and do you have any projects you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Aaron Calimeri.
Okay.
And I'm working on a project called The Extractors with Vic King. So if you look up Vic King on Twitter, you'll see like a bunch of his art. He draws like every day. He's awesome. But
Sweet. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a little comic we're making. We're not really sure how we're gonna fund it or anything yet. Like I'm putting all the money in myself right now.
Mm.
But I want to say that Lone Wolf comic is awesome.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I've been checking it out as well, and I watched a couple of your videos um, on just you talking about it, and it definitely sounds exciting. I'm gonna navigate over to that actually pretty soon here, see how it's doing. Kind of EVS style. Just check it out.
Is the person who did the that sample colored page, is that going to be the person who colors the book if it gets funded?
Yeah, but we're actually that was just some quick coloring he did. I'm trying to update the Indiegogo page with some new samples. And I think actually we're just going to go ahead and go full color. And we're going to offer the black and white as a newsprint. So if anybody wants both or either one, it'll be available.
That's cool.
Sweet. Oh, it looks like there's. I know which one it is, but it looks like there's three Indiegogos up for Lone Wolf.
Yeah, I don't know what that other one is. I was kind of surprised when I searched it one day after I'd started it and saw all that.
Wow, huh, that's weird. Let me
Just
see if I
go to
can
the
share
good
my
one.
screen real quick.
Just
Yeah,
tell people go to the good
great
one.
Yeah. Well, the one that he's talking about is gray, and I should be sharing it here on my screen right now. So yeah, this is it. Looks like you're actually doing pretty good. You got 14 days left. You're about getting close to halfway there. If anybody is interested in supporting a really cool project, he's offering it for newsprint, which is really cool. Like I'm excited about that, and you got all kinds of different options here and stuff. So why don't you tell everybody what this book is about?
Yeah, it's about a 200-year-old Cherokee warrior who fights the monsters that destroyed his family. When he was born, he was given a gift by his grandfather, and that's why he lives for 200 years. He's a member of the Cherokee Nation. There was 5 tribes of the Cherokee, and from all those 5 tribes, there was one member that was group of a secret organization within that secretly hunted monsters and protected the earth. And when his grandfather passed away, that left him being the last one. So we get to see him taking on all these monsters by himself.
That sounds awesome. Nothing wrong with a little monster fighting.
Yeah.
I tend to do a lot of that in my comics as well. Yeah, so that sounds really cool. So yeah, again, everybody, if that sounds interesting to you, definitely go over and support. Check it out. What is the comic you're working on, Aaron? What? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I don't have an Indiegogo or anything for it yet.
Yeah, no, I
But
realize.
it's it's we call it sort of the A Team meets Alien, and it's about this team that does search and rescues on spaceships, and they work for an insurance company.
Mhm.
So if you're someone that has like a lot of money in a big spaceship, you can get insurance. And then if you get boarded by aliens or attacked or whatever, you send out a distress call, and then the extractors will come and they'll rescue you. And what happens in the story is at the very beginning, they get a distress call from this ship that gets boarded by these zombie aliens that we call zombivores. And
Nice.
the insurance gets denied because the ship wandered off into a dangerous zone. So it was like not covered under insurance. So the insurance company denies it, but the extractors group is like, the hell with this. We have to go in and save these guys. So they end up breaching their contract. They like violate their orders and they go and they try to save everybody from this alien invasion on this ship.
Nice. That sounds like tons of fun. Right up my alley for sure. Um, so what I'm curious, what's kind of the inspiration? I'll start with you, Aaron. Like what caused you to want to put this book together? You're the writer, correct?
Yeah, I'm the writer. Um, well, I've been collecting comics. Like I'm 40 years old and I've been collecting comics since I was 9 years old. So I was always a big fan of superhero comics and stuff. Um, but I always wanted to be a comic book writer. And when I was in about my 20s, I started trying to make comics as a writer. And in high school, I had always been praised for being like really good at writing and reading. And I was in honors English and things like that. So I kind of got a big head about being a writer. And so I was kind of like way too cocky and everything, and I get in arguments and stuff, and my comic books always failed. And then I realized I wasn't nearly as good as I thought I was, so I was getting all down. So I quit working on any kind of stories for a long, long time. And then when Diversity in Comics started up his Jawbreakers, and then everyone else came along with their Indiegogos, they started getting excited again. And so I started looking for artists and stuff like that and started working on comics. I don't have anything out yet, but I'm we're trying, we're getting there.
Well, it looks like I
Yeah,
found your buddy Vic King.
yeah,
This art looks really awesome.
yeah, that's some promo art for the book right there. Those are the zombivore creatures, and then that's one of our logos.
Yeah, this guy is obviously a really good artist, and the ideas seem to be coming through and looking really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's our team right there. That's another promo piece.
Awesome.
And also she's she's not really doing commissions from what I've heard, but I contacted Mindy and asked her if she wanted to do an alternate cover for the book, and she
Hmm.
turned me down. And then she asked me if I had a website, and I said no, I don't really have a website for the book. And then I said, but I have a couple promos, and I just threw her out a couple promos just to send her something. And then once she saw those aliens, she like totally changed her mind, and she said, "You know what? I changed my mind. I want to draw I want to draw a cover for this." So we worked it out, and she's drawn a alternate cover for it.
Awesome.
There's going to be a Mindy Wheeler cover for Extractors #1, and her cover is going to be the special alternate cover, and it's going to be a virgin cover, so there isn't going to be any logos or anything on that cover. It's just only going to be her art. That's it.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Breaking news. That's awesome. If anybody is wondering, Mindy Wheeler it's actually her group on Facebook that we kind of all started chatting. So that's who we're talking about. You should check her out too. She's got I guess maybe the best place to check her stuff out is YouTube or Twitter, but she hasn't really shown a ton of what she's working on yet. But she's working on a book called Karma, and it sounds really cool. So what about you, Doug? What was kind of the inspiration for this whole lone wolf thing, and just getting into comics in general, as far as being a creator and stuff?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't read much, and I remember I came home one day and my parents had bought me some some Spider-Man and some Ninja Turtle comics. And from there I was hooked. It was just like, I thought they were the coolest things I'd ever seen in my life. And I always wanted to like draw comics and stuff. As a kid, I would draw comics. I'd get in trouble in class in like 4th and 5th grade because instead of doing my work, I was drawing comics. And as I got older, I got away from that and started playing music. And so everything went into writing songs and all that stuff, and playing guitar and all that. And a while back, I mean, on and off, I've read comics throughout the years. I never quit reading comics. But a while back, I just kind of stumbled upon this indie comics revolution thing just by watching some goofy Star Wars videos, because I did not like The Last Jedi, so I stumbled onto Ethan Van Sciver's stream, and I was like, "Hey, there's a ton." I saw that he was making a comic, but then when I started looking on Twitter, I saw so many people were wanting to make comics, and there was a bunch of indie creators, and I thought, well, I write all the time. I write songs and write stuff about bands. I was like, I can write a comic. So I started writing a script, but while this was going on, I also started wondering about my family history. I'd always heard.
Kind of breaking it.
It's probably. Hang on, just a second.
He was coming in for me.
Can you hear me now?
Was he?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be my internet too.
Some of the just goofy old YouTube and Google and stuff. But like I was saying, I started researching my family history and found out like several generations back that I had some Cherokee ancestors, and I really liked the story, and I was like, I would really like to do something similar with their story, but I didn't want to do a superhero comic book, but I was really into like the TV shows like Supernatural and things like that. So I just kind of took the ideas and some of my family history and came up with the story.
Are you and your artist friends?
That's really cool.
What's weird about the artist is he's actually he lives probably an hour away from me, but I didn't meet him until I made a video on YouTube talking about how I wanted to do a comic book about a Cherokee who fought monsters, and he just came out of the woodwork and was like, "Hey man, I want to draw that." So that's how we met.
That's awesome. I wondered if you were friends because you had said something like you were both from the same town and stuff, so I didn't know if you knew each other or not.
No, yeah, we're not from the same town, but we're from like the same general area. I could drive like an hour and a half, and meet up with him. I still haven't done that, but at some point I'm going to.
That's kind of cool because you guys, if you wanted, you could go to conventions together.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about that too. I just don't like large groups of people.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I like don't go to parties even with people I know because I'm scared. But you
Yeah,
should
I'm not
do.
kind of like that as well.
But anyone, if anyone's listening out there, they should definitely go to Doug's YouTube and watch his videos. You should do more video stuff because watching you do the guns and everything, that was awesome.
Yeah, I've been
What
trying
did you do
to.
with the guns?
My character in my book carries an 1851 Colt Navy, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a reproduction from like the 70s,
Oh wow.
and I went out and did a video of me like shooting it at some wood just to show it off, and it seems to be pretty popular. People are liking that I made the video.
The gun that takes an hour to load.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, man. I definitely have enjoyed some of the videos. I didn't get a chance to watch that one quite yet, but all right. So links are now officially in the uh, the YouTube description if you guys want to check any of these guys' stuff out. I just want to quickly acknowledge the chat. It looks like we got Mike Emmerich, Daniel Liebert, Mike Sykes, Doug's in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, just appreciate you guys checking stuff out. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in there. I'd love to. I'll ask any questions that come up. Um, so yeah, I don't know what else can we say. You guys, I'd be curious to hear a little bit about your writing process because I write and draw most of the comics I work on. And it's always interesting to hear different people's processes because I'm always trying to kind of hack it, figure it out myself, you know. So I guess we'll start with you, Aaron. What how do you kind of go about writing a story?
Well, what I like to do is I try to just I try to think of an idea, or usually what happens is I try to think of an idea and I can't think of anything good, but then like something will just hit me like in the middle of the night, or I'll be half asleep or whatever, and then I'll start thinking about it. So then I get all excited about the idea, and then what I do from there is I just kind of start thinking about characters a little bit and what would happen in the story. And then it's just pretty typical stuff. But then when I actually go to write it, I I don't always do this, but I try to make just like this super simple outline of just like 10 things that happen. And I'll just write those things out so that I can get kind of a structure. So it's just like 10 lines or whatever. And then after that, I do like the old style Marvel plot kind of where I like write page one and then I write the things that happen on page one, but I put most of the dialogue in there as like captions or who says what and everything like that. But I leave all the paneling, not all of it, but I leave most of the paneling up to the artist. And I don't really have a good process because I'm really amateur, but um, I work with some of my friends on trying to make the story better. And actually, I don't know if you guys know Liam Gray. He's in our group too. But Liam is a really good writer, and he sat down with me over the phone yesterday, and he went through my script line by line and told me like what was good and what was bad, which was awesome because the only person I could get, I was like begging people to read my scripts, and the only person I ever got to read my script was Mindy, and she gave me some good tips. And then talking to Liam was awesome because he was just helping me like every step of the way, even though I had already written a couple different drafts of this script. But yeah, I don't really have a good process. I just write it down.
Usually what I do is what I've been doing is I'll write pretty much like a short story, a page or two of everything that I want to happen, uh, or ideas I have, and then I edit that a couple times and write a script from it. And I don't know how you guys write scripts, but the way I write a script, it's almost like every panel has a small paragraph that describes everything that's going on. And I might include a line or two of dialogue, just kind of set the mood. And once I get the artwork back is when I start refining the dialogue and maybe adding some and taking some away.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of like it's a little bit the way I do it because I don't panel it all out, but then I let the artist draw it, and then when I see all the panels, that's when I decide, okay, I need to add or subtract dialogue based on that. Another thing I do is sometimes I'll write out these like bios of like what powers the character has and who they are and just a little bit of information. I'm not one of those people that does like Matt Trin from McKinnon Chronicles. He'll like write out like entire like novels basically just of background of characters, stuff that he like will never even use. Um a lot of people like to do that stuff, but I'm lazy, so I just write the bare minimum like this character's from here and this is what they're capable of and they're a jerk or whatever. And then I just write the story from there because I'm just too lazy to write all that backstory.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, different ways of going about it, and I tend to definitely be more close to, the Marvel method style of doing things. I mean, I think of myself primarily as an artist, so even though I really want to get good at writing, and I'd like to be the type of writer who can sit down and really like break things down a lot better than I'm doing currently, but I mean, literally right now, most of my writing has been like a bullet point list with like one sentence per bullet, and then I'll do like some kind of halfway thumbnails, and then I'll start making the comic.
Yeah, it's
um,
easy when
or
you're the
characters
artist.
as well.
I mean, not easy, but the writing, but just write like you don't have to write for an artist because you already know what you want to draw.
Yeah, there is
Right.
kind of it's kind of easy in some ways and hard in other ways. But yeah, it's easy in the fact that if I were writing for another artist, I'd be putting a lot more description in there. And I even do that for myself sometimes. I imagine if I was doing a longer form comic, I would definitely do that. So because the inspiration hits, you get an idea, and then you think you'll remember it, years, months, weeks, whatever down the line, but you're not going to remember it. So if I were doing a longer form comic, I think I would definitely write those descriptions out and dialogue and whatnot. But for what I'm doing now, I'm doing small stories. I'm doing one comic, and they're all like 5 to 10 pages. So I can, I don't need to write all that detail out. It's definitely a very quicker, fast paced type of style of writing.
I've been wondering what do you guys know Joelle Jones from Catwoman and Lady Killer?
Yeah, I don't really know much about him, but I know those two titles and I've heard the name before.
Well, she's an artist and she's really good, but with Lady Killer and Catwoman, she writes those herself, so I often wonder like what she actually writes down before she draws, you know. Kind of like you, like I wonder how much you already kind of explained it, but I just wonder how people who draw their own books, how much they actually write down and how much they just decide to draw. Like EVS too. I wonder what his writing looks like before he draws his Cyberfrog stuff. Or
Yeah.
even Mindy.
Well, I think from what I can tell, it sounds like Mindy is writing more like a writer than an artist. Because I mean, she even has said that, you know, she quit comics for a while and decided to do the same story as a novel. So I think she's got like a novel type of, you know, writing going on. Um, yeah, I don't know. It just sounds like her process is much more sophisticated than mine. But yeah, EVS, I think he's kind of. I would bet that he's in a similar boat where he's not, you know, writing full scripts necessarily, but I could be wrong. It's, you know, it's hard to really tell. He doesn't let a lot of information out about that process, so
Right.
at least that I've heard.
What is your book called?
Well, I'm basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a new story every month on Patreon for my Patreon followers, and it's a
Oh,
small. Well, it's not always a new story. Sometimes it'll be continuing, but I literally just started last month, and I did the story called Darby Cufflink, Gentleman Avenger of Comics. Just kind of a fun little comic about this guy who's like set in the he's in the future, but he's like at this point uh the people all around him, like just in the regular world, have like cosplay has become like the main fashion of the world. And like he just likes to dress up in a regular suit, go to work and do his thing, but he actually loves comics and he reads them all the time. But these other people, they're doing the fashion thing with the cosplay, but they don't even read the stuff or whatever. So he's like, he gets frustrated, and it just, there's like this silly fight that happens, and it's really simple plot. and and this month I'm working on another kind of silly idea, but with a little bit more sophisticated themes, which is called Corncob Rob, and it's basically like a punk rock version of Veggie Tales in some ways. And it's just like, I made this character called Corncob Rob a long time ago,
oh,
and
I
he's
saw
just
it.
riding. Yeah, he's like riding a skateboard, and people just seem to be into it. So I was
Yeah,
like,
I thought that
well,
was
why not
awesome.
make a story about it? Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been
I'm
fun.
sorry. I'm sorry that I don't like I'm just learning who you are, but I saw that picture and I thought that was awesome. Sorry I don't know you more.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we're all getting to know each other. Actually, you can see on the screen, this is the first page, and the second page so far. And I've got, you know, a lot more done. I have to get it done by the end of the month. So I'm thinking I'm probably not going to end up finishing it the colors, but I will finish the inks and the dialogue and throw that together and send that to my patrons, and then finish the colors later. But yeah, here's one of
Yeah.
the characters in it.
Yeah. I love the corn cob dude because I love how like his little his nub on his head was like holding his hat on. That was cool.
Yeah, it's just a fun character.
Yeah, I like your art style, man. It's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, you know, doing my best. I'm not I'm not Jim Lee, but I can draw pretty decent. Actually, this is like my kind of quick and dirty style, and I'm just kind of having a blast with it. But I can also draw very detailed and do that too, but that just would take forever to do these comics that way.
Did you go to school for art?
No, didn't go to. Well, I took some classes. I really, paid a lot of attention in any art class I had in high school, and then I took a few classes in college, like a few like three college courses, but I couldn't afford college, so that just kind of went down the toilet. But I remember a lot from that too because I've always pretty much always been an artist. I even remember like in nursery school, like we'd have the art folders, everybody have the art folders, copy and paste and stuff, and construction paper, all that stupid stuff. I still actually have mine, but I remember back then, everybody would go outside to play and stuff, and I'd be like, "Can I get my art folder back down?" And I remember even then, I just knew this love of working in art, so it's pretty much been something I've played around with my whole life. So let's see.
All right, I
the
got a
people in the chat.
question. So we're in Hangouts right now, and I'm on my
Mhm.
phone, and I can't figure out a thing because I'm 100 years old. So my buddy's trying to find the YouTube.
I don't hear you anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. I was wondering if that was me dropping out or.
Well, while he's gone, let me just go through the chat real
Oh,
quick.
sorry. Did you hear me or no?
No,
Okay,
you
go ahead.
disappeared on us.
Yeah, I can hear you
Oh,
now.
I was trying to ask. My buddy is. I was trying to say like we're in Hangouts right now, and I'm like 1,000 years old, so I don't understand how to do anything, and I'm on my phone. But my buddy wants to watch just on YouTube, not in Hangouts, and he's in. I told him to go to Mindy's thing because he's in the group too, but it only has like your Hangouts link, and he wants to just watch it on YouTube. So
Okay.
what's your channel?
It's here. I'll just put the link in Mindy's thing real quick. That go. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So one sec, guys. Sorry for the delay.
Thanks for
Yeah, no problem, man. You kind of got blacked out again though, but I heard you say thanks. Here's the show just to watch if you guys. I know this is really exciting radio here. All right, it is officially in there, so he can check that out. So let's get
This is
back
what
to
happens.
the chat here.
This is what happens when they just allow any of us to just do YouTube stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad they do though.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Daniel Ebert says you still write more than I. I just do thumbnails with the dialogues. That's mystery. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own way of doing it. I've done it a few different ways, and they've all been. None of them have been anything close to a full script. My buddy Bitey thing. I haven't seen you in a while, man. How you doing? He says, "Hey Marshall, cool stream. Gonna have to run and catch the replay though." Okay, cool. So he'll hear this shout out later. Mike Sykes says, "I don't write very much at all, just a rough outline." Yeah, that's pretty much me too, Mike. And I'm looking forward to your comic. I keep seeing your illustrations you're putting out there, and they're just looking cooler and cooler as they go.
What's his
Mindy
comic?
goes for the full. He hasn't put it out there yet, but from my understanding, it's kind of like a Game of Thrones type of thing, but with like a lot of it's more humorous or whatever. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It just sounds cool. I've seen a lot of his images, like where he's kind of concepting, doing the concept art and stuff, and it's really cool. He's been on my show talking about it in the earlier episodes. So if you look back on my channel and look for Mike Sykes, you'll see that. Um,
Okay, cool.
Danielle Liebert says Mindy goes for the full script, I believe. Yeah, I think so as well. And then he asks, any advice on how to stay motivated off topic? Sorry, no, there's no topic, man. Thanks for the question because it helps us have stuff to talk about. So, any advice on how to stay motivated? What do you think, Doug?
I don't know. I can't really give advice. I'm slightly obsessive, so once I
Mhm.
start working on a project, I don't really stop until I'm done. That's all I think about. So for me, it might be
Yeah.
more of a bad thing.
Yeah. I definitely know what you mean because it is there's something to being obsessed on a project, and I think that's actually how a lot of creators work. And um, I think some people might have like it might be labeled as like ADD or like some other like type of condition or whatever. But I personally don't think too much about those conditions, and I feel like a lot of times those people can really accomplish a lot because they get so obsessive, about certain things and just do everything they can to make it happen. I'm not saying that's you, but it's just that whole obsessive thing. I think is definitely a big part of how some people work. But I will say for me, um, I, for me, the way to stay, and this will be to Daniel. You guys are kind of in a different group than I've in the past talked to a lot. But there's a group called the 100 Days of Making Comics, and it was started by Kevin Cross, and it's just a challenge out there, and it's also a community, and we've been going for a few years now, and I've done the challenge 4 times or 3.5 times, I think. And man, I'll tell you, that challenge has been a game changer for me. It's taught me how to have the habit of working on my comics every day. And basically, what the challenge is for 100 days consecutively, you work on your personal comic project for at least 30 minutes a day every day. And you just make that time, and doing it 3.5 times, at this point I don't really need to do the challenge anymore because I've built the habit all the way to the point where I'm actually in the middle right now of 365 days of making comics, which is just my own personal goal, because I just want to make comics all the time, so why stop. So that keeps me motivated every day. I even some days, trust me, some days it's barely working on the comic. I'm like, I need to do something very simple today, like research and like drawing a little bit, working on a character design because I just can't handle it. But then other days I'll start and I'll go for hours. On the weekends I try to get in like sometimes 8-hour days and stuff on it. So at least as long as you do your 30 minutes, you're good. So that's how I stay motivated personally. What about you, Aaron? Still there?
I don't know if he's with us anymore or not.
Yeah, my connection likes to drop out on me. I'm gonna have to
Okay.
start doing streams from a different location because my house has really bad internet.
Yeah, mine does too. It's
Did
limping
you ask me
along
a
though.
question?
Yeah, I was saying, how do you stay motivated to work on your project?
Oh, I'm jealous of all of you guys because everyone has this like super strong drive, and I'm like the flaky one, and I'll get really into something, and then I'll fall out after. So I need like external people to like help tell me to keep going or make me do it. So
Well, you know what? I mean,
yeah.
that's actually a big part of what I was talking about with the 100 days. I forgot to mention, but it's also something that we generally do on YouTube. So most of the people who do the 100 days of making comics challenge, they do the video also on YouTube. Um, and so they do a video every day as well, which is a bit of a challenge, but it's actually really helped. That is to have people to be accountable to. So you're kind of accountable to the community, and usually the community is really awesome and they encourage you throughout the process as well. And a lot of people have kind of started and built their YouTube channel around that, just starting out. And yeah, that is, I mean, I'm the same way. I'm totally flaky. That's why I love this challenge, because it's turned me from being that, typical flaky creator to, being pretty dedicated to work on my stuff every day. So,
So Doug's the
let's
crazy
see.
one.
Yeah, I'm the crazy one.
Yeah.
I'm the
See,
guy that would be
it-
emailing you guys and being like, "Where's your stuff at? I need it now."
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's good though. That's what you need to be if you're a writer in comics, because you got to kind of run the ship usually.
And Doug's artist is extra scared because he lives right near him, and Doug has all these weapons.
That's why he did that video.
Dude, how were you hitting that tree stump so easy?
Dude, like it was a fluke.
Skills.
I don't know how. I've shot guns a lot, but that gun right there is so hard to like hit anything. I think it was just like a once in a lifetime thing. If I went out there right now, I probably couldn't do it.
Wrong answer, man. Your answer should be skills, man. Skills.
Yeah, you're supposed to be like, I'm Jack Irons, bitch.
Well, that way if somebody like busts in over here, I'll shoot them up, but I'll be like, well, I don't know how I done it. I'm not that good.
Cool. So to continue through the chat a little bit, yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Daniel. Hopefully that was helpful. My buddy Fway's in here. What's up, Fway? Creed's in here. Infinite Coolness. What's up? What's he say? Hey, from the Lurkers Gallery. Cool show, guys. Hey, lurk all you want, man. Let's see what else. These guys are talking to each other. Let's see.
We need to get Lone Wolf. We need to get that over the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
If now that we have more people and
not just on here, but every time we're on the stream, we got to pimp this Lone Wolf comic.
yeah, no doubt.
It's good, man.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a cool book. And again, everybody, like, if you missed the beginning of the stream, definitely go watch the replay when you get a chance, to catch up to where you're at. And he explained what Lone Wolf is all about. It seems like a really cool idea. And we got the link in the show notes too if you want to check it out, or in the description, I should say. Let's see. So Daniel says, I'm always second guessing myself or wondering if the art is good enough. I also lack focus and want to start another project. Oh man, you're talking my language, unfortunately. I'm the same way. Focus is probably my worst enemy. And that's, again, the challenge is I give a lot of credit to that challenge and Kevin Cross for starting that up, because I don't know where I'd be right now. I'd probably be not having created many things, but I've created a lot more since then. And we actually went on to do an anthology too. And we're working on a new anthology as we speak, or we're about to actually. We're getting ready to work on a new anthology, so that's pretty cool too. And then wondering if your art is good enough. Um, yeah, I mean, every day I work on it a little bit, and the thing is focus on design and storytelling. Those two things, and I want to make a video specifically about this because those two things can kind of trump artwork that's still lacking. If you can get good at design, because I mean, check out this thing right here, the pages I'm working on now. Like, this isn't the most amazing drawings, ever. This is kind of my quick and dirty style. It's definitely enhanced by color, but hopefully the design is interesting enough that people dig it. And hopefully the storytelling, if the storytelling is clear, um, that's a big part of the battle too, because you could have the most amazing art, but if people read your story and come away with like, I don't really know what happened, then it doesn't matter how awesome your art is. So if you can do those two things, you're already ahead of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like your style a lot. I would rather see somebody with something more original, something like their own style going on, than to see
Mhm.
6,000 Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld copies. That's just me personally.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
And
I mean,
especially with everyone's like all into like realistic as possible, but then everyone's art looks the same if you do that.
Yeah.
yeah, and I agree. I actually enjoy working in a different style than the typical one because I'm the same way. I get kind of bored of the super realistic styles. But sometimes it depends on who it is. Again, if somebody has a unique way of doing it, then it looks awesome. But if it's just kind of the same as what we've seen, yeah, I definitely agree.
I think on the indie
Um,
scene though, it's there's so many different styles going right now on the little indie scene that we're in that it's really really cool.
yeah, absolutely,
Sorry if I cut
absolutely.
you off there.
No, no, you're good. There's a lot of talking over people when it comes to these hangouts, and it's just part of the thing.
You just kind of learn
um,
to roll with it.
exactly. Daniel's saying that he doesn't necessarily want to do the YouTube channel part of it, and you don't have to do the YouTube channel part of the challenge. Uh, that's why I say most people do YouTube, but there is a lot of people who don't, and so as long as you can do 100 consecutive days,
You
and
could
and
do
you
a
can
Twitter
post it
too.
anywhere you want, and then you can get involved with the Facebook group if you're doing it the correct way. They'll let you in.
Or if you just do it on your own, you can just do on Twitter, just post something every day.
Yep. There's a lot of people who do it that way, or they'll put like even write a blog, or some people do like little tiny Instagram videos, or just pictures on their Instagram showing their progress each day,
I like
for
seeing
sure.
the Inktober stuff that everyone does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a blast. I've done that. I've done it fully 1 year, a few other years. I didn't really do it at all this year.
My artist for extractors, Vic, he does Inktober. He does one every day, and a lot of them are fan arts, so it's like double cool.
Yeah, he did a fan art for Lone Wolf, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to perusing through his Twitter and Instagram if he has one, because I love looking at awesome art, and he seems really cool with that.
he's another guy who gave up for a long, long time
Um,
and then came back.
so is he really? Yeah, a lot of it seems like a common story. I know Comicsgate is bringing a bunch of people in, but also just in general, like a lot of people kind of step away from comics and then come back. A lot of people like to announce, I'm not doing comics anymore, but there's something about comics that always draws you back. It's like a drug.
Yeah. Like Brian from Rags every
Um,
day is, I'm done doing comics, and then he's back.
yeah, he's really tempted to do the 100 days on Twitter. So good suggestion, man. One thing I'm curious about, because you guys have both done this, how have you gone about like getting artists for your project? Because I do want to write stories that other people draw as well eventually. I always feel like weird about asking because I don't have money to pay them, so I don't want to ask somebody if I can't pay them. But I know there's also crowdfunding and all that. But how have you guys gone about finding that?
Well,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Doug.
No, you go ahead, Aaron. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know that I know all the work that the artists put in is just so much that I look for people and then I pay them and then I just cry at how much money I've spent.
Yeah. What avenues have you gone to find a person, people to do the art?
That's really hard because if you look through DeviantArt, everyone just wants to do like commissions of like single pictures and they want to charge a shit ton of money. And so it's hard to find people on DeviantArt, and I don't know a lot of places to look. So I generally just kind of look through Twitter, and that's tough too because most of the people that you see that are good on Twitter already have projects. So it's kind of sometimes you gotta ask people, and then they're not ready, but you can kind of line them up. Like you can say like, "Oh, when will you be ready?" And then if they tell you when they'll be ready, then you can say, "Hey, well, put me in that slot, and then I'll have something written for you, and then we can start working together on that date."
Mm-hmm. And is this the first comic project you've done, or have you done other ones?
Yeah, I'm doing this one and one other one. I'm doing one for Wicked Publishing, and I think Extractors is gonna actually be done first, and it'll be my first one. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well,
So
that's awesome.
I
You're
don't have
just
a lot of
starting, but you're
experience.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the way you get experience. By trying it out for sure. And with the artists like this guy Vic, I think you'll get some attention.
Yeah, he's a really nice dude, and he's he draws he'll draw everybody's like characters and stuff as fan arts all the time, and everybody seems to like his art and everybody seems to like him, so I'm happy to be partnered with him.
That's cool. That's awesome. What about you, Doug? How's it been for you trying to find an artist?
Like I was struggling for a little while until I started looking on Twitter, and between Twitter and YouTube, I found a ton of artists, and I noticed there's a lot of guys who are actually pretty talented, but it's like they do it as a hobby, and I'm the same way. I don't have a lot of money, and I feel bad about asking somebody to work for free. But that's one reason, like that's one of the reasons why I'm crowdfunding my book now is
Mm-hmm.
I paid Jeff out of pocket for so much of the artwork, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to raise the money to pay him because I know he's a cool guy and he's been working really hard, and I'd like to be able to give him some money for that.
Yeah.
But I've noticed there's quite a bit of talent floating around on Twitter. I think if you just throw out some ideas, maybe a concept or two, and say, I'm looking for an artist, you'll get some people wanting to work with you.
Yes, absolutely. So that's good. I mean, I think that's what's important too. Is there are plenty of stories of people kind of taking advantage
Videos
of
and
artists and
writing.
stuff like that. What's that?
Oh, sorry. I was just
Oh
saying
yeah,
that I was just saying that it's hard unless you can pay an artist, or if you're just a really really good writer. It's hard because a lot of artists can write their own stuff, and if you can't pay them, then they're just gonna do their own book.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it is kind of difficult, for people to find the right person to collaborate with and all that. But there's so many people out there wanting to make comics. I think it's definitely not impossible, and obviously you guys have been able to find some people, so that's cool. And there's so many, like I was saying before, there's so many horror stories of like times where people have taken advantage of artists, creatives, probably even writers, any creative people, and not like paid them. So I'm really glad to hear, and I think this is pretty common though, but I'm pretty I'm glad to hear that you guys are very interested in making sure you pay your artist and all that. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. It's always difficult. Like I said, I would like to work with other creators too, but for now I'm just trying to kind of make for now and see if I could get some traction first, and then maybe I'll start reaching out to people. I've also thought about like working with other writers where I draw and they write. So there's that too. I am kind of curious about that, but it kind of has to fit within the plan of trying to build something, because I would like to make some kind of career out of this or something if possible. So it's all kind of moving towards something. I don't know exactly what yet, but
I know what you mean. I would really like to be able to do this, on the regular, make enough money that I could spend more time, being creative.
hmm. What do you do for a living? Like for a regular
Uh,
job?
I work with
Or do you
people
do something?
with mental disabilities. Uh,
Hmm.
that's my 40-hour a week job, but I only work 3 days a week. I work an 8-hour shift and 2 16s. So the rest of the week,
Oh wow.
I'm helping out with family stuff, and I use some of that time to work on writing scripts and writing music and stuff like that.
Hmm. It's pretty cool that you can get it in 3 days. With that, is it all together or is it like spread out through the week? Or
It's all together. Like I'll go in, I work a third shift on Sunday night, and then on Monday and Tuesday I work a 16. I'll go in at 3 in the evening and work till 7 in the morning.
wow,
I mean,
sounds like
I'm tired by the
tough.
time it's done Wednesday morning, but while I'm there at work, the guys I work with are cool. It's just like hanging out with my buddies. And
Right.
when they go to bed, that also gives me time. I can work, I can write stuff, so I have plenty of time to work on projects.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I get some stuff done at work too sometimes, depending. I do a lot of driving and deliveries and stuff, but there's times where I'm waiting on people and it's just like I just have to sit there and wait. So I grab my little sketchbook out and try to work on something. But but yeah, the dream it is the dream, of course, to do it full time. But
It's crazy though, like with seeing how these Indiegogos are going, I mean, obviously the big ones are the people who already kind of have a career and they're already kind of famous and stuff like that. So those guys are really hitting it hard and getting a lot of money. But just to see the potential of what these guys are doing is like, you know, you can do it. You can make a living off this stuff if you work really hard and you get the attention and stuff like that and make good work and all that stuff.
And also, you got to understand and not be jealous of people like EVS. I mean, he started drawing comics in 1993.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you got to understand it took him that long to get to where he's at now.
Yeah, he's been doing it for 25 years, he keeps saying, and that's just crazy.
Yeah.
I do remember when Cyberfrog came out, so long ago. So
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
Yep, I remember when Cyberfrog came out and they pimped it in Wizard magazine all the time.
hmm I'll be honest, I never read it. At that point, I was, I don't know, it just seemed a little too goofy for me. Nowadays, though, I'm like, it's right up my alley. Like, I like that kind of stuff.
I
My taste
would
has
have read
changed
it back then,
drastically.
but my store didn't carry it. So, because I always saw it
Yeah.
in Wizard, but my store never had it.
Mhm.
And I was poor. I was a kid, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just read whatever was on the rack at Walmart. I live in a small
that's how I
town.
started too. I used to go to the drugstore and just grab whatever was on the shelf.
That's pretty cool. It's weird. Like, I keep hearing that, like, a lot of people's first experience with comics is from spinner racks or from like the little, 3 packs or whatever they found in stores and stuff. And I've always, for some reason, I guess where did I first? Yeah, I've always gotten my comics from comic shops. There's always been at least one or two around. So I don't
Well, how
know.
old are
It's
you?
interesting that I'm gonna be 40 in
Oh,
February, but
yeah, I'm 40.
I'm old enough. I'm old enough, but I still like. I guess I just was lucky that I happen to have some comic shops around. My area. I've always lived in a suburban area or whatever. So yeah, but I've heard so many people, even my age, who yeah, same as what you guys are saying.
Yeah, I really think that's one of the big problems with like the sales and stuff right now is that the model is just bad because even though that it's going to be difficult anyways with competing with TV and video games and Netflix and everything, but you got to get the comics, you got to get them cheap enough and you got to get them just in the regular grocery stores and just in the convenience stores and gas stations. Otherwise, kids are never going to see them.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about the stuff that Alterna Comics Peter Simeti's doing, like
Yeah.
the fact that he's getting them and trying to get them into those stores and stuff. Like after whatever he's planning after this whole Alternaween thing, like we should see. I'm really curious to see what next year looks like for Alterna, and I feel like they have the potential to literally be the next thing in comics. Like to me, Peter Simeti is like he could be like in his own way, he could kind of be like the new Stanley of comics because he's just got that awesome personality and he's just an awesome dude and he's such an advocate for the medium of comic books. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with that company.
Yeah,
I've
I
been.
am. Go ahead,
Oh, go
Aaron.
ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say I've been saying the same thing. I told Peter Simeti that in a DM that he's like the new generation he's the new Stan Lee. And
Mhm.
without Peter Simeti, I don't think comics are gonna have a lot of trouble. And I think Peter Simeti is the guy that has the ideas and the ways to fix it. And if you guys, I don't know if you guys saw the stuff at New York Comic Con, but they announced like several new books and they all look awesome.
I didn't, but I would like to.
Yeah, if you just go on like their Twitter or just look up stuff about Alterna News or whatever on Google, they announced
Mhm.
several new projects and all the comics look great.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're getting better and better. And I actually was able to meet him because I live on the East Coast and stuff, and he did a convention that I went to specifically to see him, and I brought a whole bunch of my comic pages, and he was just such an awesome dude. Like he took the time to look at all my comic pages, gave me some advice. I sat there and chatted with him at his table for like 2-3 hours, and he was nothing but awesome, you know.
That's really cool. What's some of the biggest things that you took away from that?
Well, I already knew a lot of stuff as far as like what he talks about, so I didn't, because I watch his videos and stuff. But as far as like my art, he gave me some really good advice. He was, um, he basically liked my art. He said to, and I'm actually already practicing it. You can see with like this corn cob Rob stuff and whatnot. Like he told me to put more blacks in because I was kind of drawing mostly just contour lines with very hardly any shadow or whatever. So he told me to put more blacks in. What else did he tell? He told me, that I'm really good at like creating like monsters and stuff, but I have to work on like some of the human stuff a little bit more. I don't know. He gave me a bunch of artistic advice. I think he was saying one thing that I don't change the camera angle enough. There's a lot of like shots where it's like you just see that like two or three characters kind of in a very simple camera angle, and just to vary that up from panel to panel. So I'm trying to put it all into work into practice because I think it was all good advice.
Just talking about kind of like how diversity in comics talks about flat angles, too many flat angles.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've only watched like a handful of Richard's videos. So I'm not quite sure, but it is definitely that kind of stuff. At this point, this was before, let's see, it was really before even the Comicsgate stuff was really jumping off. It was, you know, I mean, it was already happening, for a while, but it was before EVS started going crazy with the Comicsgate stuff. So, he didn't even mention any of that. And then that was the thing, when this whole thing happened against Peter Samedi, it was just like I knew, like I was just feeling bad for him, hoping he got through it and stuff because I knew he would come out being okay because you can't you can't attack a guy who is as nice and has done so much for so many people as like him. You can't attack somebody like that and have it stick. Like you just can't. So I'm glad that he made his way out of it, and he's doing, and it ended up, making him a lot of money in the end. So, I'm glad how it finally turned out. I just wish he didn't have to go through it because I was pissed, I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like this guy is such an awesome guy, and how could you possibly attack him?
It was terrible, but it's worked out for the best because Alterna is growing by leaps and bounds. And I honestly believe that Alterna is the company of the future. And we definitely need to keep our eyes on that. And I do want to submit some stuff to him because I love the newsprint thing, and I just think it'd be awesome to work with him because he's an awesome dude.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I mean, that was. I mean, these comic stories that I'm doing every month, like I'm trying to make them better and better as I go, and I'm definitely going to start submitting the ones that have a little more legs as much as I can because I would love to get in there. I mean, I heard of Alterna and what they were doing. Let's see, about like maybe 2 years ago. They were just starting, and I did not realize that they were doing newsprint. So I kind of ignored them for like a month or two, a couple months. And then, I mean, I thought it was cool. It just wasn't really as on my radar. And then once I found out that they're doing newsprint, I'm like, oh crap, like this is what I've been wanting to do forever. People can actually do this. What? Like, I was so excited, and that's when I'm like, all right, I'm going to my comic shop, get me every alternate comic that comes out. I gotta check this out, and I'm hooked. I definitely want to publish if I can. I'd love to publish with them sometime.
I had seen a lot of misinformation before that because everyone had been telling me that newsprint, the difference in price was like so negligible it wasn't worth it. And then
Mm-hmm.
and then now it's just like Peter just proved that you can get newsprint prices way cheaper. So I don't know what the deal was with that because Image still was even while Peter was selling these books for $1.50 this year, Eric Larson was talking about how it just wasn't feasible.
Yeah, and I love Peter Samedi did one video. It was super short. I think it was like just a few minutes long, and he's just like, "Oh man, it's so expensive to print on newsprint. Like nobody could print on newsprint. Like not anymore." And as he's saying that, like he's throwing down all these like grocery circulars and all these different things that you get in the mail for that. I mean, I constantly get these newsprint things in the mail, and it's like, are you kidding me? They're not spending a lot of money to make these things. And it's just, that was pretty funny. And that just proves,
That video was hilarious. He's going through them all, and he's like, yeah, I wonder what they're printing this on. And oh, look, here's this other one. And he was going through them all. He's like, that's crazy. How can they afford to like just basically throw away all this money? And then he finally gets down. And he's like, oh, here's what I was looking for. Here's my comics, and it was his alternate comics.
Yeah, so awesome. I mean, it makes sense. I thought about that too because I've always wanted to print a newsprint, but I've heard the same story that you're saying, that people say you can't do it, it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. But I've always thought the same thing. I'm like, well, how come there's newsprint all over the place? Like, how does Auto Trader do it? Like, how does all these grocery stores do it? And come to find out, I should have looked into it more because it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I've not found I found a smaller
All right,
printer.
let's see what we got going on in the chat. Daniel says EVS is a
I think we're all like our connections are like slower and faster, and we're all trying to catch up with each other. You guys still there?
You're breaking up to me.
Yeah, you're breaking up on my end too.
Oh, okay. Hopefully it slows down soon. What were you saying?
I don't even know at this point. It's everything like there was 3 voices all at one time, and then it all went digital.
Oh no!
I wanted to hear Doug tell us about that low. Like you don't even have to do it right now, but I want you to hook us up with that printer.
Oh yeah, let me see if I can find it. I've been looking at a couple different newsprint guys.
I know that at one point Alterna or Peter Samedi was going with a company called Eagle something or other. I don't know if he's still going with the same one or not, but it was like something with the word eagle in it. I forget. But.
Well, I found a couple different printers, and I'm still kind of pricing it. I know that I want to do newsprint, so.
Were the deals good?
Yeah, I mean it was. Let me pull up the page here, and the pay. I've been trying to find some reviews about this company and stuff like that before I commit to going with them. But Their website, their nationalprint.com. It's RA Comics Direct. And let's see. Let me pull up my quote. I haven't done this for a day or two, so. It's terrible, by the way.
Yeah, you kind of sound like a robot.
Yeah, it's my computer.
All right, well, I'm not hearing anything right now, but when you pop back in, we'll chat. Looks like Daniel had to get going, hanging out, man. He always got his comics from newspaper stores, which is cool. Fue says he's got a run. It's been awesome. Cool. And then Circworks, Scott Circlin, a friend of the show, or a friend of, I should say, of the channel. My friend, I guess. Maybe I should just say my friend. He said that I'm the one who introduced him to Alterna. And cool. That's awesome. I was introduced by the community as well. This guy, a buddy of mine, who's also, has he been on the show? I can't remember if he's been on my show or not, but CB Smallwood. He's another cool dude who makes some cool comics, and he's the first person I heard about Alterna from, and then I started to hear it from a few other places too. So spreading the Alterna love.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Now
You guys
I
still
can.
there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I can hear both of you.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
The company I was using, or one of the quotes I got is RA Comics Direct, and for 324-page black and white newsprint comics, it's like $600. That's like $2 a piece, which is
that's
it's not bad
not
for
bad.
print on demand. I know you can do a lot better if you print high volumes, but we're just not there yet. You guys sound like robots
that's
now.
interesting. I'll have to check them out. Everybody sound like robots.
Yeah, the Decepticons
All right, well,
are
you
taking
know what?
over.
I mean, to be honest, we have been going for a while here, and I think we got a lot of cool conversation going on in here, and everybody's starting to break up, so we might as well kind of put this one to rest. But I will say I really appreciate you, Doug and Aaron, coming on. This was definitely a blast, and if you'd like to be added to the list of people who I always let know in my DM, let me know, and I'll be happy to have you on again anytime. And yeah, again, everybody check out the links in the description. It goes to all their, their Twitters and different things that they were talking about here. So definitely check their stuff out, especially Lone Star. I keep wanting to say Lone Star. Lone Wolf. Doug's project. It's on Indiegogo right now, so you can go get a piece of that, right now if you want. So definitely check that out. And again, just before I leave, Doug, just let them know where they can find you. You said on Twitter, right?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at DG310. That's where I do most of my promotions. And if you want to talk to me about anything, like if you need help doing anything, finding printers or any of that, just shoot me a DM.
Awesome. That sounds good. And what about you, Aaron? Where can people find you again?
Just don't worry about me. Just buy that Lone Wolf comic.
Yeah, no doubt. So he just wants to promote Lone Wolf. So cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, it does look like a cool story, so I'm looking forward to checking it out. So yeah, thank you everybody. You guys all know where you can find me, donkeyjawprojects.com and Marshall Lee _DJP on Instagram and Twitter. And I really appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat this morning, and also to everybody watching on the replay. You guys are awesome. And I'll talk to you next time on the Early Bird. I keep wanting to say my old show, the Early Bird Artcast. Okay, we'll talk to you guys later.